specification from it also says the plugin contains code to encrypt private keys before storing them in a database. This will protect against people who get unauthorized access to read your database. Yeah, correct. It protects against that. And then, which would be a bad situation for other reasons, and there'd be a question of how they manage that. However, the encryption function above is faulty and actually ends up using the same encryption key on every site that's installed on the plugin. So really, there's no encryption. Then, in my personal view, that's not a problem. Protecting against people who can already access your database directly wouldn't be part of my threat model. No, but they have known about this for 8 years and have not fixed it.
All right.
I mean, this will also.
That one's going to be a good one, but I think we got to do WordFence. We got to do WordFence today. We're doing WordFence today. But we'll do that one next. What's up, WordPress warriors? Patrick Gallagher here, co-founder and CEO of GridPane. It is Thursday, April 13th, and I am joined by the co-founder and CEO of Snicko. Yeah, right. Creator of Fortress, Calvin Alkan. And today, the last one of these that we did, we tried to basically, keep the innocent or not so innocent out of it. But we realized that at the end of the day, you're all smart people, and you're going to be able to go and figure out exactly who these companies and these plugin providers and these security experts are. And so there's just no point in really beating around the bush anymore. And so today we're going to be talking about WordFence, and in particular, WordFence, I think, just is bringing out the absolute best in me today, because they had this neat little thing that they did about 21 hours ago, where they pushed some new firewall rules to their premium plugin holders, not their free users, just their premium users, and a certain subset of those users who were storing their firewall rules in the database. All their sites went down, and back and forth, many hours of trouble, many people's sites going down. Actually, I spoke with Thomas earlier. Calvin and I regularly speak to Thomas Rafe, and he had 221 customers yesterday who started reaching out to him at roughly 5 or 6 p.m. With issues. And what really got me in all of this is the support responses about this issue. And thanks for your patience. This is from their support. We've identified this as a premium rule, and it only seems to be impacting people who are utilizing MySQL storage at this point. At first, I didn't quite understand what this meant, but there are some of their users that are storing these things in files. Then they recommend actually getting into your WordPress database and just running this delete from, and then just knocking out all of the firewall rules. And then that was going to solve the problem. And then they said, unfortunately, due to the nature of this issue, it does not look like we were able to offer an automated solution, which I don't entirely believe, in my opinion, that that's accurate. And then once again, go ahead and get in there and start just thrashing away at your database. And if for any reason you're not comfortable doing this, where was it? It was like
reach out to you. No. There, we recommend reaching out to your hosting provider.
Yeah.
No, the above, one above. This one, the end.
Oh yeah. We recommend taking a backup of your database before getting in there, which most people should not ever get into their WordPress database. If you're unsure how to run a manual query on your database, we recommend reaching out to your hosting provider and passing the buck right over to them. And then what I liked is they got another support guy in here who apparently didn't read any of the previous threads, because in the process of locking down this thread and saying, hey, unfortunately, this is only for premium users, so we can't talk to you people here in the free world. You need to go and create a support ticket. Or if you don't want to go there, go ahead and click the help menu item in the plugin, or click the help link in the plugin's dashboard page on your website, which is currently down. So I guess what he assumed was you've already gone in and SFTP'd in and changed the name of the folder and run MySQL queries and fixed your site and restored your site, and then you can go and click help. I guess that's what he meant. So they get both barrels from me today. And so one thing that I think is really important to point out before I turn Calvin loose on actually talking about a much more severe vulnerability and a much more severe issue that happened many months ago. It's really important that everybody understand that these are entirely my opinions. Calvin is going to be presenting the facts as he as he knew them at the time. And he will likely be how he normally is, and just be as, straightforward and just technical about what it is that he was able to disclose. And all of these opinions expressed are entirely my own. And they are just my opinions in terms of how egregious I think these things are. But let's get into it. So which one of these do we want to focus in on? So this is obviously going back to September of last year.
It's the first one.
Yeah, so I don't think we need to cover this denial of service through IP spoofing.
This was pretty sophisticated, yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty sophisticated one. But I also want to point out that, again, we spoke about this before. Calvin basically narrowly looked at the top 25 security plugins in the entire WordPress ecosystem, just narrowly specifically looking at sort of authentication, 2FA, and then IP spoofing. And when he was explaining IP spoofing to me the first time, I'm like, well, what would be the value of that? And he's like, well, you could block Googlebot. And I'm like, and he's like, how many people rank ahead of you for the phrase managed WordPress? And I'm like, oh, and he's like, yeah, just get Googlebot to delist all of them, and then you rank number one. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That would be a really cool hack. So there was a bunch of people that were like, oh, no, that's not, even if you could pull that off, that's not even a thing. And it's like, I think your other example was even better about, like, if I'm running a Black Friday sale and you're running a Black Friday sale, I can just DDoS all of you.
There was like my argument was because many vendors, like, I don't remember if WordFence specifically also had this position, but many vendors like kind of downplayed like the importance of IP spoofing, where I was saying them, look, imagine you're selling your plugin on Black Friday, right? And I'm selling a competing plugin on Black Friday. And there are new customers who might not know like which plugin they want to buy. Yep. Like I can just like grab every IP of every customer that visits my site, fire off an automated background job, and get them automatically banned or whatever delisted on your site during the period of Black Friday. Never load. Like I keep triggering the blocking for the either web application firewall or whatever. Like I spoof their IP. I violate the web application firewall. I get them banned on the site, and they just can't visit the site.
Right, right. And you think your site's fine. You don't see it. Your site is not down, but it's just like, for whatever reason, our sales just tanked. Like, this is crazy.
But yeah, this was on the WordFence. If I recall correctly, it was WordFence got most of it right. Many plugins made it significantly easier to exploit this IP spoofing. But it was still possible in some instances in WordFence as well. Yeah, yeah. So,
maybe it was a different one that I thought was quite funny.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah, yeah. One of the emergency backup codes that it stores in plain text in the database. So yeah, this is another one in the really, really, really long line of these read SQL injection powered issues. This one just so happened to be a total site takeover on 4 million plus installs. And basically, we've covered this in other times, but pretty much the issues were that the secrets were stored in plain text in the database, which means that if you wanted to, you could actually go through and use all of the regular hijinks of using a 6-digit TOTP to generate the codes. But then even worse, they had the emergency backup codes stored in plain text in the database. And then didn't this one also allow you, it was like a 0-factor authentication. Like if you had this, it was complete, like it skipped the first
if you had this version of WordFence, it has been fixed since, obviously, otherwise you would not talk about it. And it's like many, many months in the past that this has been fixed. If you have this version of WordFence and you have any read SQL injection in either WordPress core, any plugin, your theme, your custom code, wherever, basically an attacker only needs to read one value or two values from the options table, or basically the WordFence settings.
Yep.
If that condition is true, everybody could log in as any user on that site. Patrick, if you scroll up, open as well. An attacker can compromise any site using WordFence 2FA functionality by logging in as any user with two-factor authentication configured. So normally, who has two-factor authentication configured? Well,
I know.
Administrators or other high-privileged users. So by having, this is exactly the right point where you have these two secrets you need from the database, and then you can send a request that will give you a valid administrator cookie without ever knowing that password of that administrator, the credentials. So you are basically this admin at that point, and then you go upload files, whatever, and basically do whatever you want. If you get in this admin,
so you're sort of generating the Linus Tech Tips session cookie hack in a way.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yep. And so again, any read, which again, in everybody's defense, a read SQL injection issue is a serious issue. Okay, we're not trying to say that this is a non-issue. That the requirement of having a read SQL vulnerability is a non-issue. What we sort of touched on, though, is what was it? Something like 6,244. There's been 6,244 of them just in the WP scan database, and so just one CD.
In the Google index, if you we touched up then yesterday. But so basically the exact number doesn't matter, but it's a lot.
It's like if you do the math, WordPress has been around for 20 years. It's like 0.9 of them per day, every day for 20 straight years. So our contention with various security vendors has always been, it's not a matter of if you're going to get one of these, it's a matter of when you're going to get one of these. And we just saw with the Elementor 8.8 out of 10, you're going to get right SQL injection effectively, So
if you scroll down a little bit, then you can basically list the proof a little bit up to the previous code section. Yeah, right there. So you don't have to show the entire request, but basically you can send this crafted request. And if you examine the response sent from the server, you can see down there is the set cookie header, right? Yep. Set cookie. And if you scroll down, there's another code room where I extracted it. If you scroll that to the right a little bit, there's the no, not quite. It's the admin. You can see that's the admin cookie, basically. It's in there a little bit to the left, a little bit more admin. So it's for the user with the username admin, which in this case was the administrator.
Yeah.
So at that point, you can use that cookie, put it into your browser or automate it, and you're basically that administrator. So you hijack that session.
Yeah. So we won't go into this, but this is okay.
So we provided, we don't have to go over the proposed patch, but we provided entire fix for that. Yeah. And they WordFence also, I think they took a week to patch this, which compared to other vendors, it was reasonably fast. Yeah. So they fixed this. They fixed the part where the read SQL injection leads to
total site takeover.
The site takeover. Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, they did not fix that the 2FA keys and recovery codes are stored. The 2FA keys have been stored encrypted, but the encryption key was stored right next to the encrypted data. So basically it's plain text. Yeah. And the backup codes have always been plain text. At least that's the best of my knowledge when I last checked and last reported these vulnerabilities. Yeah. Yeah. So a week, that's pretty impressive. The other thing that they did was they were the only one out of 25, 26 that implemented proper security practices in terms of having you securely submit the proof of concept to them. So they've at least got that going on. But the once again, the thing that we take a lot of umbrage with, or that I take a lot of umbrage with, is that this is the change log here. When they implemented his changes on September, they were first visible to you on the 16th, and then they updated their change log. Improvement, hardened 2FA log inflow to reduce exposure in cases where an attacker is able to obtain privileged information from the database. So if I saw that, I would certainly not immediately upgrade, because I would not think that this was a very serious security vulnerability, because it's not disclosed at all as a security vulnerability. Again, this is just my opinion here, that they, and maybe if you're keeping score at home and you were a customer of theirs around that time, maybe they reached out to everybody and said, hey, by the by,
this was a really big deal. You definitely should reset all your passwords, and you absolutely need to reset all of your 2FA secrets. But to the best of our knowledge, they did not do that. And in my opinion, that is completely unacceptable. And it was consistently true across so many of these providers, is that it's like, even when they fixed their thing, they did not, again, just my feeling here, they did not update the change logs in a way that makes it very, very clear that this is a serious security issue that needs to be addressed. And none of them told any of their customers to reset passwords or security secrets. Yeah, not one.
Which there might be a case of like, you don't know if this has been exploited specifically on your site. But then again, to you, maybe your site is 5 administrators or whatever, like what's the cost for each of them to just reset their 2FA keys, right?
Yeah.
Compared to having like the risk of maybe somebody compromised this and still has your 2FA key stored.
Right. Right. Because again, it's like, okay, now if we fix this, even if they did flawlessly fix it, which again, it looks shaky at best as to whether or not that was the case. Like, you absolutely need to reset those security secrets, you know? And it's just unacceptable to me that, I mean, this is the thing about it is that these people are one of only like 3 CVEs for all of WordPress. Yeah. So it's like, these people can actually tell the world, hey, this is a new security vulnerability. Not only that, they have a regular newsletter. Is it weekly or is it monthly?
I don't know if it's weekly or monthly.
Yeah, where they basically say, these are the biggest security breaches of the last week, you know? And so it's like, you could make the argument that it's like, yeah, we can't just say, hey, here's how to hack everybody's sites. You know, you don't need to say that. But I would, if it was me, I would say security update required, you know, say something. And then don't necessarily, you know, wait 30 days, fine. And then go back and update the change log, you know? I mean, it's like these people, part of their job is effectively like outing security vulnerabilities. Yeah. I mean, that's what people pay them for. And I don't believe that they ever showed up on their own newsletter. I don't think they did.
I don't think so, no.
No, I don't. And I feel that strains credibility. And yeah, so anyway, they get the spotlight today. So there was, what was the other one? It was basically the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing because it's the exact same thing in the, oh wait, this is the 7.7. Yeah, so the first one, they fixed like the most critical issue, which was that you could take over the site. And after that version, well, you could, if you have read SQL injection, you can only permanently compromise 2FA. So it's like as if passwords were still stored in plain text.
Yeah, got it. So yeah, they were basically the same thing. And again, they were on these pretty quickly, and they did handle it responsibly. But I just feel like I mean, the thing about it is eventually something on GridPane is going to get hacked. Eventually something on Fortress is not gonna account for every possible existential threat that exists out there. But my hope is that when and if those things happen, that we'll go, oh yeah, we screwed up really bad, and this is how it happened, and this is how we figured it out, and this is what we changed, and this is how we're gonna make sure that it doesn't happen again, you know? And it's like, by having that openness and that transparency, it's easier for people to continue to do business with you, you know, because it's like nobody's perfect. Like
it's like, I mean, it happened to basically the biggest tech companies on the regular, and they employ like entire departments of security researchers that just check their code. It happens to everybody. That's not the point of not having vulnerabilities. It's just like, it's the handling basically. You
own it. Exactly. I mean, it's like, the CIA gets hacked, NASA gets hacked, AWS gets hacked, Visa gets hacked, you know, like billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies get hacked. They go, my bad. And then they do their mea culpa, and they, you know, own it. And it's like, we've just seen time and time again where it was one out of 24 or 25 that like very explicitly said, reset passwords, do this, thanks, Calvin, you know, like,
Yeah, it was not a lot.
yeah. So we're talking 4%, give or take, of the people that millions, tens of millions of people trust with their most valuable digital, properties.
Also, I feel like that you have to somewhat differentiate here, because like this is especially in the category of security. Some companies even like they are supposed to tell other plugins in that space how to properly handle this, right? It's not like these have all been security plugins, somewhat like sometimes security companies. And that is basically the point. Right?
Yeah. Well, and again, like the thing that we saw across all of these is that it's like the people believe by having 2FA that they're bulletproof. And in a lot of cases, it was actually worse if you had 2FA than if you had nothing. And you were just using regular, WordPress username and password with really crappy hashing.
Or a basic authentication, HTTP basic authentication or whatever.
Yeah.
It would have been more secure.
And so people have this false sense of security that is like, well, I've already got 2FA. And then it's like improvement in 2FA, like 2FA is already good enough. Like what am I going to have, a 7th digit that I got to type in now? I'm not taking that upgrade, and so it's just like, just irks me to no end. But yeah, once again, we've got another dead horse that we've probably beat sufficiently into a pulp. What are we going to do tomorrow? You think we should do the
we have plenty left.
Oh, no. Yeah, I know. I remember now. I know what we're going to do. That's going to be good too. The one that I was like spitting and like couldn't keep my drink down. Okay. Cheers, Calvin. Appreciate your time as always. Talk to you, buddy.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.